Hello everybody, Maven here, and welcome to Season of the Wish. It's finally here, and so it's time to do what we always do when a new season comes out, and that is test out all of the exotic armor and weapon changes. Bungie announced all these changes in the articles they released last week. I'll link them down below in the description if you'd like to check them out. We'll be going over everything in today's video. Now, normally at the end of my videos, I typically say, if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, but I'm gonna say it in the intro this time because I'm letting you guys know we're going crazy with the content this week. We're gonna be uploading every single day. We got a lot of spicy builds to come with these new exotic changes and also brand new exotics. So I hope y'all can stay tuned for that. So don't forget to subscribe and let's get to it. Hope you enjoy. But just a quick disclaimer, I won't be going super in-depth on each exotic because the season did just come out a few hours ago, and I'll be doing individual build videos for each of these exotics in the near future so we can do a deep dive on them then. All right, lads, we're here at Karl's lair. It's time to begin on Titan. So we're gonna start with the Severence Enclosure because I happen to have it on, but look at this jank. Look at this jank. Requires legendary shards to level up. They took legendary shards out of the game, so what am I supposed to do? I don't know. Anyways, powered melee final blows release a more wider radius and more damaging explosion, and also finishers and final blows against more powerful targets increase the radius and damage of the explosion, and also kills, it doesn't say it yet, but kills with the explosion now chain additional explosions. So let's give it a try. And there's also the throwing hammer nerf, so it doesn't come back instantly anymore. As you can see, it comes over the course of 1.4 seconds. So the new combo is going to be throwing hammer, punch, throwing hammer, punch, like that. But when you have Soul Invictus active, your regular punches actually count as charged punches. Okay, you saw that? It changed another explosion. So it should change that Scion there. I do not have my throwing hammer, but this is actually going to be a pretty solid add-a-player exotic. You know, that's actually really good because it feels like every punch is like a solar ignition. Like, look at that. Okay, let's see. Can we kill the yellow bar when we kill this yellow bar? Yes, we do. It does like 39,000. Did you see that? Dude, this could actually be like the new best Solar Titan exotic. I'm serious. I'm definitely gonna have to do some further testing on this one, but that does seem pretty good. Okay, let's move on to our next exotic here. We got the Wormgod Caress, and I don't think Bungie fixed the in-game descriptions, but apparently this has a meter system now, so it's like completely reworked. Let's just see how it works with the stacks of Burning Fist. Okay, Burning Fist is at 1. Give me my hammer back. Okay, it takes a long time to diminish those stacks. Look at it, it's going down now. Look at it going down. Stack it back up. Stack it up. Oh my goodness. 45,000 damage per punch. 45,000 damage per punch. That's with Roaring Flames, by the way. So let's let it run out. Look how slow it drains, dude. That's so good. That is seriously so good. This may be like quite possibly one of the better Titan exotics now. I'm serious. Like, you get to keep that melee bonus forever. So a normal uncharged base punch, let's look at the damage numbers here. So with no charge at all, starting off at 10,000 damage. So we did 45,000 at the end, but that was a Burning Fist. To 15,000, to 21,000, 27,000. 32,000, and at maximum stacks, oh, I lost it. 38,000. That's actually really, really good, and it works with glaives. So let's try to shred Karl here. I'm gonna die though. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter, dude. That's so strong. That's so good. Wow. This is meta. This is seriously meta. I'm not even exaggerating for the video. This is seriously meta. Well, all right then. I'm definitely going to do a future build video on this one, so stay tuned for that. But let's move on to the next exotic. Okay, moving on. So let's try out the Peregrine Greaves. So the Peregrine Greaves now refund melee energy when you hit a mini boss or a tormentor or a champion. And somebody proved recently that Karl is not actually a major. He is indeed a mini boss. And so this won't work when you hit a minor. You have to hit one of those big targets to refund your melee energy. And also, the new Peregrine Strike perk, you have to be airborne for a short duration of time. So let's give it a whirl. And... oh my goodness. The charge is completely back. I did not expect that. Look, our whole energy is just refunded. Bro, does it work with the yellow bars? Oh, it works with the yellow bars. I thought it would just work with mini bosses. That's a major. It worked with the major. See, it does not work with the minors though. No minors allowed. But yeah, I seriously thought that it was just going to give us like a small amount of melee energy back, like literally like 25% of our melee back. I did not expect that it was going to give us back our entire charge. That is actually really, really good. I could see a potential usage of Peregrine Greaves in like Grandmasters because of this. That's very, very good. Okay, next up, they buffed the Precious Scars. They gave it a substantial buff so that like kills with the weapon matching your subclass element grant restoration, and that's extremely, extremely good because of Ember of Empyrean. So you apply that restoration and then you just get more kills and extend it. So I think this may actually be meta. Honestly, I feel like it's going to be one of the best survivability exotics. So watch this. Restoration, and now it's extended. And I can keep extending it by getting solar kills. Look at that, 10 seconds of restoration. I'm telling you guys, Precious Scars is going to be very solid for survivability builds. Like, it may even be better than Loreley, because with Loreley, in order to proc the restoration, you have to like either put down a barricade or you have to like get critically wounded. So it takes more time. With the Precious Scars, you're literally just sitting here playing the game. Like, you're not even doing anything for it, and you're just automatically getting the restoration. And you know what? That also could be very broken in Crucible as well. Like, you're just getting like half of your health back after a kill, you know? It's just free. All right, we are moving on to Hunter, and Triton Vice got a buff and Glaives got a buff. So now they do 25% more projectile damage. And also when we are surrounded, we get a 100% glaive damage buff. Now, I never really want to melee with this glaive build, this Triton Vice build. If you haven't checked out the video, go and check it out, by the way. This build is so good. But we're doing 44,000 damage, which is pretty solid. But I want to see, when we are surrounded, how fast we shred Karl. Because if we can kill him in like 4 glaive swings, that would be ridiculous. Okay, not doing as much as I thought, but still, for a glaive, that's very, very good. That's like nearly as fast as we shredded him with the Wormgod Caress. But obviously, the Wormgod Caress at ×5 was definitely a little bit better. I don't know how much of a damage percentage the Wormgod is at maximum stacks, but I believe it's like 250% or something like that, like something crazy. But look at our glaive overflowing. So now I can't use my build for what it's meant for, which is Volt Shot. So yeah, it's kind of suffering because it's overflowed. That's why you typically don't want to melee with the Triton Vice build. However, it still does help to like shred a boss in some certain situations when you're surrounded, so I could see using that in a very niche scenario, but not all the time. Next up, we got the Mechaneer's Tricksleeves. Now this one, when you swap to sidearm or critically wounded to get that buff, which I believe is like a 100% buff, you can maintain that buff by getting kills. And also when your shields regenerate, say if you use a healing grenade or you're standing in a rift or something, you can still have a few seconds of leeway to get that buff swapping to a sidearm. So it should be a lot more usable. However, I still think it's going to be pretty niche. And like, this is the kind of exotic where you have to really be trying to activate it. It's too much effort, despite how good it could be. So I just want to see real quick how much we're doing to Karl to the body and head. 3,000 and 19,000. So now let's go ahead and get critically wounded. So I think you actually, I tried this before. When I was trying to make a Mechaneer's Tricksleeves build before, you actually cannot proc the buff by damaging yourself. You have to get your shields broken by an enemy. There we go. So now Tricksleeves, 7,000, 39,000. It's literally double damage. So I can maintain the buff, see? I can maintain the buff by just getting kills. And we can absolutely shred with our sidearms. Absolutely shred. And just melt Carl. Look at that, 58,000. Absolute shreddage. But the buff goes away quickly. And like I said, you can't proc it yourself because I tried to do a build of the Tricksleeves before where you use the mountaintop. So I know the mountaintop is sunset, but I was gonna use it on this build anyways. So it was a perfect thing to just literally shoot at the floor, break your shields, and then swap to your sidearm and have a free damage buff, but it doesn't work like that. So still incredibly niche. While it is incredibly powerful when you get it to work, it's just too much work. Okay, so now let's move on to the Celestial Nighthawk. So what this thing does now is precision final blows will give you some super energy depending on the tier of enemy defeated. So there's two things that I want to test here. Well, for one, the function of it, you know, how much super energy, but two, throwing knives. If we get throwing knife final blows, how much super energy will we get? So that is not as much as I was expecting. I think I missed my crit there. Okay, I can see that actually like adding up, you know? While it does seem like not too much right now, I could see that adding up. But I want to test knife final blows. Did that work? It's hard to tell if that worked. No, I don't think the throwing knives are counting as precision final blows. Okay, well, it's not bad, but I can definitely see that adding up in a realistic situation. You know, depending on what kind of weapon you're using for it. Something optimal. This is definitely something that I want to try to optimize for a video. And we'll get to that in the near future. Now, next up, similarly to the Nighthawk, we got the Shards of Galanor. So, throwing knife final blows now give you extra super energy. So, on top of that, we're going to stack it with triple hands-on and see just how much super energy that we can get. I believe it will probably be greater than that of Celestial Nighthawk. So, okay. It's an alright amount. Let's waste our super here. And I saw it just like jump up out of nowhere. I think it depends, like, it works the same way like Nighthawk where it depends on the enemy tier. Oh, wait. I'm noticing something. If you hit him with all three knives of the knife trick, it actually grants more. See, more hits of the knife trick, it actually grants more. Okay. So you definitely want to be fighting Cabal because they're chunkier targets. You can hit more with the knife trick. Hold on, what happens though if you use a weighted throwing knife? I want to find out. Will you get more with weighted throwing knife? Yeah. Weighted throwing knife is definitely a lot more. It's definitely a lot more with the weighted throwing knife. I don't know why, but at least I know for the future if I do a Shards of Galanor build, use the weighted throwing knife. Didn't kill him. You get the idea. Moving on to the one that I am the most excited for. This is literally the buff that I am the most hyped for in the game right now. So Ophidia Spathe now grants you a stacking damage bonus up to double your damage, and you can refresh the duration by dodging. So we can just spam knives and they're gonna be like as strong as bonk hammers, if not stronger. I mean, maybe not as strong because of Roaring Flames. Oh, look at that. We always get our knives back endlessly. It says Scissor Fingers. Look at the buff, Scissor Fingers. Okay, one knife is doing 21,000, so that means it should be doing 63,000 if we hit all three. And hit Carl. I need to get back my dodge. Wait. Dodge. Let me get up Scissor Fingers again. And then hit Carl. Ignition, get back my knives. Oh, this is so good. I'm telling you guys, this is like one of, if like, definitely top 5 strongest builds right now. Like, look at that damage, 46,000. So 3 knives hitting that dog is like 150k. I mean, almost 150k. But yeah, that's very, very good. Very, very good indeed. So the Ophidia Spathe definitely lived up to expectations. I think it's incredible, and I will be doing a full build breakdown on this tomorrow. So look forward to that here on the channel. Now, moving on to the Bombardiers. Now, why the Bombardiers? Well, let me show you. So, where is it? Winter Shroud. Increases slow stacks in PvE from 40 to 60. So now let's go up to Hunter. Where beeth Hunter? Moving on to the Bombardiers here. See, look, now applies 20 slow stacks to enemies and 40 in PvE. So 40 plus the 60 should be enough to cause a freeze here. So let's go and check it out and see what we can do. So in theory, if I go and dodge next to Carl with Winter Shroud, we should be able to freeze him. Should be 40 plus 60. Now, if we can freeze him, what's that going to mean? What's that going to do? And he's frozen. I mean, yeah, it does a thing, but is it a good thing? Like, is that really significant? Because we can just insta-freeze with Duskfield multiple times over. So, it's cool, but it's very niche. Alright, so next up we got the Stompees. Now, obviously for Crucible, I'm very hyped about the fact that you can move again and you don't have to have class ability. But also, when you are airborne, you take less damage from targets. So let's figure out how that does against Carl. So Carl's strongest attack is his minigun. So if we can get him to do his minigun on us, that would be great. So let's just see first how fast he shreds us. Not the rockets. So his minigun is his strongest attack. And look how fast he shreds us. Extremely fast, all right? Extremely, extremely fast. Now, let's get airborne. Oh yeah, oh yeah. How much resist is that? Does it tell us? There's no resist buff on the side of the screen. There's no resist buff. But looking at that damage, it seems like it's around 40%, like similar to Woven Mail. Is that gonna work in Crucible? I don't know. And I'm sure another YouTuber will test it probably today. So look for that on YouTube. But yeah, if that works in PvP, that's gonna be kind of broken. Okay, moving on to Warlock now. Apotheosis Veil is an exotic that has sucked ever since it came out like years ago, and we've always wanted this to be good. So now it says after your super ends, gain a temporary, greatly increased melee and grenade regen. So what I'm hoping is that, so we have the Touch of Flame fusion grenades. If we can just pop our well and just like spam Touch of Flame fusion grenades, that could be extremely, extremely powerful. And could be potentially meta. If like, you know, like when you pop a super in like a raid or whatever, you just swap to Apotheosis Veil. Let's see if that is a thing you can do. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It works. It works. It's pre-nerf Starfire Protocol, boys. It's pre-nerf Starfire Protocol. Let's go. Okay, but it only lasts literally 4 fusion grenades long, so unfortunately I don't think that's gonna be meta. It's only 4 fusion nades, but if that lasted literally like 20 seconds and Apotheosis Veil literally transformed your Well of Radiance into Radiance, or like a Sunsinger from Destiny 1, that would be cool. See, that is what Bungie needs to do. They need to take risk and do cool stuff, and just, that'd be like Apotheosis Veil would basically essentially be giving us Sunsinger back, which is what the player base wants. But nope, they're not gonna do us like that. But that would be cool if it did that. Next up here, we got Felwinter's Helm. So they increased the tier of weaken and the radius up from each target. So we're not really gonna be able to test this one too efficiently because we only have 1 melee to work with here. Let's get a nice pile of enemies together as best as we can here. I got yeeted. Okay, so let me hit the Scion. All the way over there, they get weakened. Also, Vex Mythoclast got buffed. We can test it out in a second though. So, still not super impressed, but what if you used it with the glaive? Does a glaive count as a charged melee? No, it does not. See, it's just Warlock's inability to spam powered melees is where the Felwinter's Helm really suffers. But it does also work with finishers, and it should also work with grapple, because grapple counts as a charged melee. So if you're going to use the Felwinter's Helm, it'd be best on Strand, but in general, I don't think it's too good. Okay, next up we got the Ballidorse Wrathweavers. This I feel could potentially be oppressive in Crucible. So when you place down your Frost Pulse Rift, you now gain a 50 HP overshield and also a tier 2 stasis weapon surge, which you can stack on top of your Empowering Rift to instantly get a huge damage buff. So see how that pans out here. Got Unending Tempest. See our base damage values here. 1900, 2700, now overshield. 2700, and I mean, that target was frozen. Can't really see because the enemy went away. 3,900. Very, very big damage buff out of nowhere. Could potentially be good along with, you know, Aeger's Scepter potentially. I don't have 100 recovery right now, but if we can find a way to like be able to spam rifts on Stasis Warlock and just constantly get that free, you know, like ×2 surge and Emp Rift out of nowhere, that could be good, but I still think that it's more of a Crucible thing, because, you know, in PvE, you want to be more mobile than that, so I'm not really too big of a fan. And finally, we got the Karnstein Armlets. So this thing was always good, but now that it applies Restoration instead, I think it's even better. Instantly grants Cure as well, and finishers grant tier 2 Restoration, whereas melee kills grant tier 1. So let's test that out here. Cure and Restoration for 12 seconds, probably because I have Ember of Solace. So now if I get an enemy in the finisher, Restoration tier 2 for 12 seconds that I can extend with Ember of Empyrean, which I don't have Ember of Empyrean equipped right now, but you can imagine how broken that is for survivability. I'm telling you, Karnstein Armlets has always been one of the most underused exotics on Warlock. And this, in my opinion, is even better for survivability than the Precious Scars update. Like, Karnstein is just ridiculously good. And now let's move on to the weapons. So starting off with the Thorn, the Catalyst is more geared towards Crucible, I would say, but PvE players would particularly be hyped about the fact that picking up Remnants now overflows your magazine. Doesn't look like the description has changed yet, but I want to see just how much it does overflow your magazine. So going down to 8 here at a base magazine of 9. And it said that it can overflow. It gives you 4 bullets? Oh, look at that. Up to, dude, this is like Osteostriga levels. I'm telling you, after the Osteostriga nerf and this insane Thorn buff, look at that. Look at it overflowing. I'm telling you, Osteostriga's dead. When you're gonna use Necrotic Rips on Strand Warlock now, you're gonna use Thorn. Like, look at that. Look at that. Never have to reload. 40 bullets in the magazine, Soul Devour. Let's go ahead and just shred Carl. Can we kill Carl in 1 magazine overflowed? Oh yeah, we definitely can. We definitely can. And this is without even having a surge. No surges whatsoever. That is so good, dude. That is so good. Thorn is already one of the most underused PvE weapons, but now it's just gonna be meta. Like, no doubt in my mind, this is crazy. Okay, so now we're gonna test out the Vex Mythoclast. Now, it made me leave my menu. Anyways, so the Vex Mythoclast now does plus 200% damage to champions when in linear fusion mode. So, okay, let's see how this goes. This is legend level, by the way. Now he's stunned. 80,000. Oh my goodness, that is some damage. That is a lot of damage. You know, with a proper champion stunning weapon in a proper setting, Vex is gonna absolutely shred. Does it have any artifact mod this season for fusion rifles? I do not know, but if it does, then this is definitely going to be meta, because that hits like an absolute truck. I guarantee you that hits harder than a actual real heavier linear fusion rifle, you know, because that was doing 80,000, and I believe that Cataclysmic or whatever does like around 59,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that is strong. It has no business being that strong. Now, I had to mention it because somebody's going to ask about it, but Revision 0 also got a 100% damage buff against champions, but there's no reason to try that because it's still not going to be better than the Wish Ender. Wish Ender already, one-taps the barrier champion's shields, but also one-taps any trash mob and also generates a stupid amount of super energy. It's just ridiculous. Nobody's going to use Revision 0 as long as the Wish Ender is as broken as it is. So there you have it. That is it for all of the exotic changes, at least the ones worth testing, because there were some that were pretty self-explanatory that we really didn't need to test. So my favorite ones were definitely Wormgod Caress, Ophidia Spathe, and Thorn. I think those are definitely the most significant. I genuinely believe Wormgod is going to be one of the better Titan exotics, possibly the best. I think it may even beat out Synthoceps in a lot of situations. And Ophidia Spathe is just straight up strong. It's just very strong. You'll see. I'm going to do a full build breakdown on it tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And then Thorn. Thorn is just going to be feeling so good. It feels so saucy. That is a weapon you're going to want to use in PvE, trust me. So that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit the like button and drop a comment letting me know what is your favorite exotic change they did this season. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing. Would love to have you here. And like I said, we got a lot of spicy builds on the way with all these exotic changes to look forward to. Have fun out there with Season of the Wish, and I'll catch you in the next video. See you later.